your customers is probably one of the biggest pains if you don't have it automated. And the good thing about Smartlead is that the API is so powerful that you can really do crazy stuff with it. And one of the really nice things you can do with Smartlead API is building dashboard analytics for your customers. And how it works, um, you have to, right? So you have top analytics, and that's gonna be like the general stats refresh every time there's like a new email sent and everything, and then you have it divided by days, and that's really interesting when you want to go like to the granular, or you want to do your daily stand-ups or your weekly reviews, because then you can see how a week went for a particular customers, or in general within your agency. You can identify trends or follow patterns, right? So that's why it's really really important to have a system like this in your lead gen agency. And at the same time, it's, well, first is giving you a lot of status and reputation for your customer, because then they can really see what is happening. And if you're not bringing or booking calls, then they can see, oh, maybe we're not sending too many emails or whatever, like they can see exactly what is happening. So like that's really the first benefit. And the second benefit is obviously for you and your team, because that way you can anticipate things before they happen, right? So if something is not going so well for our customers, you can identify when it happens and really take corrective measures and not act reactively. You can be proactive, which is something you really need when you're running a business. Because if you see like that a client is going to churn, it's really important that you at least try to take all the appropriate measures for him not to. So once we've said that, here we are aggregating everything with make.com, and we consolidate all the data in Airtable. And in Airtable, we have different bases. I will show that after in the second video, but we have the information about the client. We have information about the responses. We have information about the daily analytics and stats. And then we have daily information about the top analytics. And why it's so convenient, Airtable, well, first, it's really powerful and you can do a lot of things. You can also build interfaces, and then based on automations within Airtable and rules, you can assign different collaborators, and collaborators are going to be read-only for your customers. And then under one link that you provide to them, it will be automatically filtered their data. And that's super powerful, because then your agency basically can scale with one link for reporting for your customers, and you don't even need to do it ever again. Never, because this is going to be refreshed every day, or at the frequency that you decide. So once we've said that, this is how this flow looks like. And well, as you can see, with it's quite a nice one. And basically what we do, so we set the API key, we get the client list, and we get the ones that are right now active. And then we make an HTTP request. We make an HTTP request to see which categories we have. And that we do because we want to get the meetings booked. And what we do is we filter by the ones which has a meeting booked in the name. So then once we've done that, we get the ID for the future, and to see against which one we need to compare. So then once that is done, we get all the clients that are active, and we iterate those records. And then we get all the campaigns in Smartlead that you currently have. Then what we do, we put together an iterator and an aggregator. And what that's going to allow us is to get the clients by ID and the campaigns by ID. And that's grouping everything together. So then we will have all the clients on, and then immediately afterwards, we will have all the campaigns. And that's really gonna help us keeping everything nice and tidy, and really helping getting everything in place. Then Once we have everything grouped, then we will group the campaign by client. So what do we do here? We checked whether the campaign is in Airtable or not. And that we do because we want to see if a campaign is already in our database. And if it's not, we are going to create it, right? A new record. And if it's there, we are just going to update the top ones. And obviously the daily ones we will need to create because we don't have that one for the day. So if we follow what happens for when we create one, basically we get the campaign analytics, then we let it sleep a little bit for not to reach API limits. Then we set a variable here, and this is what is allowing us is to set an iterator because, as you may know, in Smartlead, you get the records 100 by the hundreds. So then this is gonna let us know how much actually we need to iterate by campaign without wasting operations, right? Or without being too short because we want all the data, but we just want the exact data. So first we need to actually know how many leads we have, and then we divide by 100. Then we get the daily stats, we get the daily top analytics, and then we repeat, and that's we are setting the iterator here, as you can see. So this is basically the number of iterations we're gonna do per cycle. Then we let it sleep just for not to hit the API limits, and we get the calls booked. So that's because this is obviously probably the most important metric for you guys as a lead gen agency. What we do here, we get the calls booked, and we group everything by campaign. So we group everything until everything's finished. And then once we have that, we aggregate the number of calls we have. So basically we see how long that array is. If it's 0, it's going to be no meetings book. If it's bigger than 0, then we will get the number, and it sums here. Then again, we just sleep, and then we basically create two different records per cycle in every different table. So we create one for the top analytics, and then we create one for the new daily analytics. So this branch that I've explained is when the campaign does not exist, and then basically we do exactly the same for existing campaigns. It just the logic is a bit different, but essentially we are just doing the same. So we are tracking meetings book, and that's what is most important for a customer here. And this is basically when it is active, and then when the campaign is not active, but the status is full in Airtable, we still run it here. And why do we do this? Because, so for example, maybe a campaign is completed already, but maybe it was completed yesterday. And we want at least to give it like 4 or 5 days pulling data until we are completely sure that there's not going to be more responses or changing categories or meetings booked, right? So that's why we give them like 4 or 5 days margin. And this, we track it through Airtable. So once a campaign is changed from active to another status, and basically completed or drafted or active or whatever, we start counting. And if the number of days is below 5, then we still push it through this branch. Once that number is over 5, then we change the status to not pull anymore, and then we will not pull the data. And basically what we do in this branch is exactly the same. So we get the analytics, we get the daily stats, we get the top analytics, we repeat the cycle, then we get the number of calls booked, and then we aggregate how many calls we've had. We sleep a little bit not to hit API limits, and then depending whether a status has changed or not, we follow one branch or the other. So if it's the same status, it will be followed here, and then the status of not pull will not be changed. If it's another status, so for example, let's say we had pause, now it changed to active, right? So the status has been changed. It will be updated here with the status, and then this will be removed now because obviously if a campaign is active, then the formula logically will continue pulling the data because it will automatically pass through this branch. So hopefully this flow it's useful and you understand more or less what is happening here. In the next video, I'm going to explain how you can structure the data you have consolidated to first create interfaces, and secondly, how you can share this data with your customer under one scalable link and filtering automatically all of their data. So yeah, hopefully you like it and you enjoy it and you want to do something similar.